Now that Joe Biden is a lame duck officially, even though he probably has been the past 3 years, he has actually pardoned Hunter Biden of his felony charges that he's guilty of. But even more than that, guys, apparently he has pardoned him for any potential crimes he may have done as of 2014. You heard this here, right? Okay. It's not that he got pardoned for what he's already guilty of, but he's pardoned of anything he's done in the past 10 years. Anyway, it's just I just cannot. I would say I can't believe it, but I totally can. Okay, this is just insane. Now, if you guys remember, you know damn well that Hunter Biden, including his awful press secretary, Career John Pierre or whatever, they've been saying for the better part of a year they would not pardon Hunter, that they believe the legal system. And you have to understand, when you're a Democrat, you have to, on one hand, say, well, everything that the legal system does is completely fair and the government's completely honest. And yeah, no, Trump's not being unfairly prosecuted. It's all legit. And we respect the verdict of the Merchan court case. And then you have Biden also saying, because again, if you want to be consistent, well, actually, the prosecution of Hunter Biden's also okay. But this is a complete reversal. And maybe, Joe has dementia, so perhaps he just doesn't remember that Trump got targeted by the political system. And so when he sees it happening to Hunter, maybe he's like, oh my God, it's the first time. So he doesn't see the hypocrisy. But maybe I'm just a good defense attorney for Biden here and just pleading salinity, kind of like what happened with the Robert Hur case. Anyway, so the statement from President Joe Biden says as such: Today, I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said it would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision making, and I kept my word, even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Well, I will tell you, um, if he's being unfairly prosecuted, why did you wait until like just now for a statement? Wouldn't you have said something 8 months ago, 6 months ago, 10 weeks ago? Anyway, without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought on trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. What does that have to do with anything? So what? Anyway, those who are late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. Okay, this is as if your son has not even a parking ticket in his record, and therefore, if you were to bring a trial to a felony that's nonviolent, like the one he did with the gun, then okay, you would have a point. But Hunter is no clean person. In fact, he's it's an oxymoronic statement. Hunter Biden is a clean man. It's just not true. His record is besmirched by a litany of different offenses. Even if not jail time was representative of what he did, there's plenty of stuff in the Ashley Biden diary, a lot of stuff you can look into, rental cars with crack pipes in them, stuff that he was basically able to get away with, having guns like in a garbage can, just a bunch of really bad stuff. And so, I mean, this is just pleading the ignorance of the audience by Joe Biden here. Now, to move on, now, here come the tears from baby, okay? Because Biden's like, the charges in his case only came after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents uh, bringing pressure on the process. Now, of course, this is erroneous because when you think about it, he's saying my opponents investigated me. My opponents took credit for my prosecution, or of his son, rather. And doesn't this kind of ring similar to the Trump case? Okay. So, again, hypocrisy. Now, look at this. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. So, I think it's kind of twofold. On one hand, yes, it's Hunter Biden getting a little more scrutiny, perhaps in that one gun case, uh, because he's your son. Yes, but is it also true that he's gotten away with probably like five different felonies over the past 15 years because he is your son? Okay, how about that? Or maybe his drug addict ass hasn't been homeless because of him being your son, a senator's son, vice president's son, a president's son. Okay, so who cares? And honestly, we see the government do this all the time. I'm not saying it's a perfect thing either, but the government oftentimes knows pretty damn well that there's a ton of crimes a person's guilty of, but they can only, because of technicality, get you on one felony charge, and so they'll ham that one up more than usual. And then you could be facetious and say, well, oh my God, this like paper technicality is not that bad. It's like, yeah, but I mean, Al Capone, for example, got arrested on what, avoiding taxes or something, but everybody knew damn well the guy was like a killer or whatever. So it's like, you know, you know what's going on. But anyway, if you look here, it continues by saying there has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me. And there's no reason to believe it would stop here. Enough is enough. Okay, so two things here. There's been an effort to break Hunter. Not really. Who has been 5.5 years sober. So again, using his addiction as a crutch, and it's pathetic, and it's for losers. Honestly, because think about it. My son is a crack addict and he's been sober, and you should be like, fuck no, dude. This guy's 54 years old. Hunter Biden's my dad's age, almost. Yeah, more or less. Like, seriously, the guy could be my dad, God forbid. And honestly, Hunter Biden is a scumbag. He's a loser. He's a hedonist. And I mean, to be clear, just because the guy was in addiction doesn't mean that it isn't his fault that he made mistakes while intoxicated or otherwise not clean, okay? That's his fault. That's like saying, I was drunk when I did all these mistakes. It's like, okay, well, don't drink that much then. Like, seriously? Like, we get it, sometimes you kind of flub up, but again, it's this constant thing where this guy for years has been subverting his own family through incompetency. It's just, oh gosh. Okay, now look at this. How delicious. I already announced this earlier in the video, but this is just the proof of it. Robert Hunter Biden, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted a full and unconditional pardon for the offenses against the United States which he had committed or may have committed or taken part of during the period from January 1st of 2014 through December 1st of 2024, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David C. Weiss in docket blah, 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 in the District Court of Delaware and the docket blah, 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 in the United District Court of Central District of California. So, you've given your son a pardon for the past 10 years. 10 years. Almost 11 years. Okay? Now, it's any crimes he has done or might have been a part of. Now, folks, do you remember Burisma? Do you guys remember the whole thing about the firing the prosecutor in Ukraine and withholding aid to leverage that so that the people would do what Biden wanted to do? Okay, you remember that whole scandal? When was this, by the way? 2014 to 2016, huh? And isn't it convenient? Hey, Hunter, you're gonna get pardoned for anything, starting when you were on Burisma. And all these conspiracies, people said, "Oh, it's a MAGA conspiracy that Joe Biden is the bag man, or sorry, that Hunter Biden's basically funding the Biden crime family." And guess what the fuck? Sorry for the cursing, but seriously, this is just proving it. Sorry, why would you have to pardon someone over something that hasn't even been prosecuted if there wasn't a crime? What I think Joe Biden, but also some of these Democrats in power are thinking is that Donald Trump has an off chance of actually looking into what happened in Burisma, officially with Cash Patel and the FBI and other people, CIA. Donald Trump, in theory, could go and look into the records and audit certain things and really get to the bottom of a lot of this money laundering or whatever else is being alleged there, having to do with the Biden family in the mid-2010s in Ukraine. And you know what, frankly, folks, the fact is that if they're scared of Trump looking into it and probably prosecuting them on very valid grounds, then it makes sense for Joe Biden to pardon Hunter of stuff that hasn't even been alleged yet, formally, of stuff that's not in a courtroom yet. Okay? So, honestly, this is vindicating because it shows palpably to anybody with the fortitude mentally to read this on their own volition to know that, in fact, Joe Biden, number one, is almost definitely guilty of using Hunter Biden as a bagman to fund his own lifestyle, but then also to put this guy, this kid, this drug addict loser, on positions of power and boards in Ukraine and these third world backwaters and boards of credit card companies based out of Delaware in the 2000s and stuff like this. He's willing to do that so that he could benefit his own family. In fact, Beau Biden, who died in 2015, had his student loans basically paid off by Hunter Biden very recently prior to his death, okay? Hunter Biden was supposed to be the guy who, through the connections to Joe Biden, made the money for the family, while Beau Biden was the Attorney General of Delaware and was supposed to be Senator of Delaware or Governor, and then he would have ran for president himself. So you see the whole angle here. A corrupt family, a disgusting family of a bunch of losers where they, frankly, are now relegated to a position to where Joe Biden, because of his incompetency, but also his salinity, is relegated to a one-term presidency where he had to get his DEI pick, complete loser, fluky, Kamala Harris destroyed by Donald Trump. And by the way, Joe Biden would have lost even worse. Okay, so that's also true. And then they go on to be a lame duck as a family. And now that they're president for, I don't know, 6 more weeks or whatever it is, now they do this pardon where Joe is going to exculpate Hunter and by proxy himself of basically robbing us of millions of taxpayer dollars by fiat. That's your president, folks. And when he leaves with an approval rating under 40%, you know damn well why. Not because he politically is terrible and he's an incompetent and he's selfish and he's egotistical and he doesn't have any charisma to back it, but also because Hunter Biden is a scumbag and they all need each other to live. Let this pardon just be a complete receipt for why all these supposed MAGA conspiracies are probably directionally more right than a lot of people would like to admit in the media. Because it is a disgusting, disgusting feature of our democracy. And to wrap up the video on a more positive note, Donald Trump on Truth Social yesterday said, does this pardon by Joe Biden give Hunter given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who have now been in prison for years. Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. So if you take any sort of silver lining, it's 2 things. It's that number 1, another key example of Democrat hypocrisy, another key example of the Democrats just being morally inferior to the Republicans and MAGA in particular. And this all is going to be more fodder for more people to become red-pilled. And to that I mean to the effect of the Joe Rogan types, the frat guys, the people that are somewhat unengaged with politics, but they see over and over these lies by the liberal media and the president even, and they just become more cognizant of the fact that, of course, these people are full of it. You have big scandals that reveal the true colors of these reptilian Democrats. I say reptilian because they're cold-blooded and they're cynical. And cynical in a way that is not even beneficial to the country. This is not an Nixonian 4D chess approach. This is just straight up selfishness by Joe Biden, for example. And so I think the Joe Rogan types, the people that said, whoa, they hid the Hunter Biden laptop. This is like the Hunter Biden laptop times 5. He's just straight up pardoning the dude for crimes that he may or may not have done the past 10 years. When have you ever seen a pardon like that, bro? I wish I had that. Fuck it. I don't know. Maybe I ran a red light 6 months ago. I could use it. I don't know. Oh my God. This is nuts. And again, the second thing I wanted to say is that Donald Trump is now more free politically to now pardon who the hell he wants. Because no matter who he pardons, basically, it's going to be less corrupt and less of an injustice than it would be to pardon his own son, who is literally guilty, plus another 10 years of get out of jail free card retroactively. So he might free the J6 prisoners, which, again, a lot of those folks are, 20-year-olds that, just walked in after everybody else walked in and they didn't break anything, they didn't hurt anybody, and now they're rotting in a prison cell in max incarceration. So that's disgusting, obviously. And so hopefully Donald Trump does pardon a lot of people. A lot of people could use the pardon. And anyway, if you like the go off, by the way, I kind of went off there for a couple minutes. I liked the anger. I felt it. So anyways, comment down below what you thought about that. Like the video if you liked it, of course. Subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you on the next one. Adios.